"You're not needed this Thanksgiving," my father said, arms crossed at the doorway. He had no idea I was the one keeping the roof over their heads. I was still holding the pumpkin pie I'd spent the morning baking when he said it. My wife had been in the car, ready to walk in with the gifts we'd bought for the nieces and nephews. But one look at his face told me this wasn't some dumb misunderstanding. My father meant every word. "Fine," I said, voice low but shaking, "but the bank won't see my $50,000 for the mortgage, and my deadbeat brother can pay his own damn way for once." Let me rewind. My name's Lucas, 33, married, no kids. I'm the oldest of two. My younger brother, Dean, is 30, unemployed more often than not, and somehow still mom and dad's golden boy. Classic story, right? Well, not exactly. Because unlike most entitled family stories, I actually had control. Real control. The kind of control you don't wave around, but keep close to your chest for moments like this. It started 3 years ago, when my parents were about to lose their house. They never told Dean, of course. Why stress out the precious boy who already had 2 kids, a third on the way, and a wife who thought working was beneath her energy? My parents called me in desperation, begging, pleading. I still remember Mom sobbing on the phone, "Lucas, we're going to lose everything. You're the only one who can help." I didn't hesitate. I covered the defaulted payments, and over the next 6 months, I worked with the bank to refinance the mortgage under a silent agreement. My name wouldn't be on the deed, but I'd funnel the payments directly. Technically, the house still belonged to them. Emotionally, that place was mine. But I never told Dean. Never told anyone, not even my wife at first. Because part of me still wanted their approval, their gratitude. Instead, I got kicked out of Thanksgiving. What triggered it, you ask? Let me guess. It was me showing up in my tailored blazer, fresh from a promotion, without the proper family energy. Or maybe it was because I refused to pay for Dean's car repairs again. Or maybe it was because, despite everything I did, I refused to kiss the ring. Whatever it was, my father met me at the front door and said the words that changed everything. "You're not needed." He said it like I was an employee they could just dismiss. Like I wasn't the reason the lights were still on inside. Like I hadn't sunk $50,000 into their financial survival just so they could pretend to be a normal family. I turned, handed the pie to my wife through the car window, and said loud enough for anyone within earshot to hear, "Let's go." We left. No scenes. No fights. Just silence, tension, and the sound of tires crunching the gravel of the driveway I paid for. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because what none of them knew, not Dean, not my parents, not even my wife, was that I had just sent an email that morning to my banker. One that said, "Cease all future payments as of today." And the house? Let's just say a storm was coming. We didn't talk much on the drive home. My wife, Amanda, could see it on my face. I was at war with myself. Rage, heartbreak, and something colder, something sharper. Revenge. She didn't ask questions until we got back. She just placed the pie on the kitchen counter like it was a bomb that hadn't gone off. "You good?" she finally said. I sat down, took a deep breath, and for the first time in 3 years, I told her everything. About the mortgage. About the payments. About how I'd been secretly keeping my parents afloat since 2020, when they almost lost the house. How I'd worked a second job freelancing evenings just to make the bank happy. How I skipped vacations, dinners out, hell, even our anniversary trip to Cabo, just to keep the wolves from their door. And then, how they shut the door in my face. Amanda didn't say anything at first. She just listened. And then she asked the million-dollar question. "Why didn't you tell me?" I had no good answer. Pride, maybe. Shame, probably. Somewhere inside, a version of me still thought that if I gave enough, if I worked hard enough, I'd finally become the son they were proud of. Not just the backup plan for when Dean dropped the ball. Again, that illusion shattered on the porch with one sentence. Amanda walked over and kissed my forehead. "Then you made the right call," she said. "Let it burn." Let me explain the arrangement in more detail, because this is where the bomb starts ticking. My father had defaulted on 3 months of payments. His pride wouldn't let him ask for help until foreclosure was already knocking. So when I stepped in, I worked directly with a contact at the credit union, a guy named Greg. Nice guy, sharp, no BS. He'd helped create a setup where the account stayed in my father's name, but the funds came directly from mine. Technically, if I stopped paying, the bank wouldn't call me. They'd call my dad. And guess what? 2 days after Thanksgiving, they did. My phone rang at exactly 8:42 a.m. I knew it was coming. I even had my voicemail set to auto-decline just in case. I didn't want the sound of his voice to taint my morning coffee. Then came the texts. First one at 9 a.m. Dad, you need to call the bank. They say the payment was declined. 10:21 a.m. Dad, Lucas, we're 2 days late. What's going on? 12:38 p.m. Dad, this is serious, son. Don't make us do this alone. And finally, at 3:14 p.m. Dad, you've made your point. Let's talk. Please. I let them sit. Because while they were scrambling to figure out what the hell was happening, I was pulling receipts. Every wire transfer, every signed authorization, every document with my name and routing number tied to their so-called independence. Amanda printed them all out and helped me file them in a binder. The Book of Truth, she called it. By Sunday evening, the silence from me had grown too loud for them to ignore. That's when Dean finally called. I didn't pick up. He tried again, then a FaceTime. Declined. He left a voicemail. I saved it. Hey man, I don't know what the hell's going on, but Dad's losing it. He said you just stopped paying? Look, I know things got heated at Thanksgiving, but this isn't the way to handle it. Be a man. Step up. Step up? That was rich coming from someone who had lived rent-free in their basement for 5 years. Who drove a financed F-150 he could barely afford, wore $200 sneakers he didn't pay for, and hadn't contributed a cent to the mortgage. And now? Now the golden boy was realizing just how cold the world felt when the safety net was pulled out from under him. On Monday morning, I got the text from my banker Greg. Lucas, just FYI, they missed their grace period. Default officially kicks in at 9 a.m. Friday. If they don't wire funds, foreclosure notice goes out Monday. I didn't reply. I just sat back and watched. My phone blew up all week. Mom tried to guilt me with Bible verses. Dean left me voice messages that ranged from apologetic to outright threatening. Dad tried to play diplomat, sending me long emails with subject lines like family first and let's talk. But I didn't know them words. Not anymore. They wanted to treat me like an outsider? Fine. Let them handle their mortgage without the outsider's help. Friday came. No payment. Saturday passed. Silence. Sunday night, I received a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail again, just in case. This time, it wasn't any of them. It was their neighbor. Hey Lucas, not sure if you've heard, but there's a notice posted on your folks' front door. From the bank. Looks serious. Just thought you'd want to know. I smiled. Not because I wanted them to lose the house, but because for once, I wasn't the one getting blindsided. Monday morning, the notice went public. The first step in the foreclosure process. A formal warning, posted in the county records and tacked right to their door like a scarlet letter. And now? Now, the cracks were visible from the street. By Monday night, Dean was at my front door. Not calling, not texting. Standing there in a wrinkled hoodie, his face a mess of rage, panic, and just the right amount of fear. Amanda opened the door. The second she saw who it was, she didn't even let him speak. He's not available, she said, and tried to shut the door. Dean blocked it with his foot. Tell him I need to talk to him now. This is serious. She stared at him, my 5 feet 6 inches wife versus my 6 feet 2 inches brother, and said, and I seriously don't care. Move your damn foot, Dean. He didn't. So I came down the stairs and said, let him in. Amanda gave me a sharp look, but stepped aside. I wasn't letting this moment go undocumented. So as Dean stormed in, I tapped record on my phone, tucked it into my hoodie pocket, and braced myself. You think this is funny? He snapped. Letting Mom and Dad find out through a piece of paper on their door? I didn't answer. He kept going. They're devastated, man. Mom hasn't stopped crying. Dad's calling lawyers. What the hell is wrong with you? You mean? I said calmly. What's wrong with you, right? You, who's lived in their house for 5 years, contributed nothing to the bills, and has the audacity to tell me how to act like a son. His eyes narrowed. This isn't about that. No. I pulled the folder from the kitchen drawer. The one Amanda labeled when they come begging. I slid it onto the coffee table, opened it, and flipped page after page. Receipts. Transfers. Monthly payment breakdowns. $50,000 over 36 months. Dean stared at them like they were in a foreign language. I paid every cent, I said. Kept this family's delusion of security intact. You know how many times I had to sit through dinners hearing you talk about how you'd get back on your feet soon? Meanwhile, I'm covering 2 rents, ours and theirs. You never told anyone. I wasn't supposed to have to. You're 30 damn years old, Dean. You have 3 kids, a 4th on the way, and you think it's my job to play cleanup for your life choices. He looked away, jaw clenched. Then he did what he always did when the guilt started setting in. He deflected. This isn't just about me, Lucas. This is about them. They're our parents. They raised us. No, they raised you. I raised myself. Silence. Then, the fake sympathy voice. Look, man, I know I've made mistakes, but you can't just let them lose the house. You know what that would do to Mom. I shrugged. She made her choice the second she barred me from Thanksgiving. He laughed bitterly. Over one dumb argument? You're blowing up everything over that. No, I'm blowing it up over a lifetime of being disposable. That sentence was just the match. His shoulders slumped. I thought for a second he might apologize. But then the rage returned. So what? You're just going to sit back and watch them suffer? You think this makes you the good guy? You're not a hero, Lucas. You're a coward hiding behind money. I smiled. I never said I was the hero, but I'm damn sure not the villain they painted me as. He stormed out after that, slamming the door so hard Amanda flinched. We stood there for a while in silence. Then she walked over, locked the deadbolt, and said, "He'll be back." She was right. But it wasn't Dean who came next. It was his wife. On Wednesday afternoon, Amanda texted me at work. "You're going to want to come home for this." I got there around 6. There was a silver Honda parked outside, one of the back windows taped over. A baby carrier in the back seat. Trash all over the dashboard. Dean's wife, Haley, was pacing our front porch like a raccoon on espresso. As soon as I pulled up, she bolted to my car window. "You're destroying this family," she hissed before I'd even unbuckled. "Do you realize what you've done?" "I'm pretty clear on it. Yeah. You let the bank threaten to take her home." "Not your home," I interrupted. "You never owned it. Never paid for it. Never even offered." She blinked. "You're a monster," she spat. "And you're a leech," I replied. "So congratulations. Now we're both honest." Amanda stepped onto the porch. "You should go, Haley." "No. I want him to see this." Haley pulled out her phone. "I recorded your brother sobbing last night because he thinks you're going to let our kids be homeless." "His kids, Lucas? You mean the ones he had while unemployed? The ones he never budgeted for? The ones I've already supported for 3 years without a thank you?" She didn't like that. "You have no soul," she whispered. "And you have no boundaries." She screamed. Like a full-on, standing on the porch, fists clenched scream that made 2 of our neighbors peek out their blinds. Amanda took my arm and guided me inside. Haley was still screaming at the door when we locked it behind us. And then the call started. My mom. My dad. Dean again. Even a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years. One message stood out above all. "You've made your point, Lucas. Now be the bigger man and fix this." Bigger man? I'd been the bigger man for a decade. No? Now I was just getting started. I don't know what made me do it that night. Maybe it was the adrenaline. Maybe it was Amanda's warning glare when I tried to pretend everything was fine. Or maybe it was just instinct. But I opened my laptop, logged into the county property database, and searched the address of my parents' home. And there it was, a title change request filed just that morning. I stared at the screen, not fully processing what I was seeing. They were trying to move the deed out of my dad's name into Dean's. I clicked deeper. The name of the real estate attorney was listed. A guy I recognized from a local firm known for one thing: shady family transfers. The kind that slide under the radar until it's too late. I called Greg, my banker, immediately. "Hey, it's Lucas. I just saw a title change request pop up for my parents' place. You know anything about that?" He paused. "Actually, yeah. A woman called yesterday, asking what it would take to get you off the hook." I didn't say much. Just that you were the payee of record and that nothing could change without your approval. "You think they're trying to sell it?" "I think they're trying to bury you from the inside out." I felt the blood drain from my face. This wasn't just manipulation anymore. This was theft. Because while I didn't own the house on paper, the way we'd set things up gave me enforceable interest. I was the lien holder, the financial lifeline. And under the agreement Greg and I structured with the bank 3 years ago, no changes could be made to the title without my signature. But they didn't know that. And that's when I realized something chilling. They weren't planning to keep the house. They were planning to flip it. I pulled Amanda into the office and showed her the records. She didn't say anything at first. Just stared at the screen, her expression unreadable. Then, how much could they get for it? If they sold it as is? Maybe $300,000. More, if they fixed it up. And how much have you put in total? With interest? Just under $61,000. She nodded. We need a lawyer. By Thursday morning, we had a consult booked with a real estate attorney downtown. A woman named Danielle. Young, sharp, wore red glasses and a courtroom stare that could crack drywall. After I laid out the situation, she leaned back in her chair. They're bluffing, she said. Trying to push you into resuming payments by pretending they have options. But what if they find a buyer? They can't. You're on the financial lien. And that gives you leverage. She smiled. Tell them you're willing to release the lien if they pay you back in full. Principal and interest. In writing. I laughed. They'd never go for that. Exactly. And when they refuse, you'll have legal standing to block any sale and claim damages if they try to forge your consent. The chessboard was changing. I was no longer the pawn. That night, I sent a single group email. To my father. To my mother. To Dean. To Haley. Subject line, regarding the house. Per the title change request I saw filed with the county, I am aware of your attempt to transfer ownership without my knowledge. As the individual who has paid $61,000 toward the mortgage over 3 years, I am legally recognized as having an equitable interest in the property. Any attempt to alter the deed, sell, or refinance without my express written consent is considered fraud and will be treated as such. However, should you wish to formally assume responsibility for the mortgage, I am willing to release my financial interest in exchange for a full reimbursement of all funds paid, plus a formal notarized agreement that you will take over the remaining balance without future assistance from me. Please respond within 72 hours. Lucas. Amanda read the email twice before I hit send. You really think they'll respond? She asked. I looked her in the eye. No, but I want them to panic. They did. Within 12 hours, I got 3 texts for missed calls and a flurry of emails ranging from denial to gaslighting to full-on pleading. My father called the situation a misunderstanding. Dean accused me of flexing my money to hurt the family. My mom's email had the audacity to start with, "Sweetheart, this isn't what you think." I said nothing. Friday night, I got a knock at the door. It wasn't Dean this time. It was my father. I'd never seen him like that before. Disheveled, shaking, holding a manila folder in one hand and a six-pack in the other. I just want to talk, he said. Amanda stood beside me on the porch. Talk about what? How you tried to sign your other son's name onto something you didn't earn. Dad looked down. That's not fair. What's not fair is using Lucas like an ATM for 3 years, she snapped. You think that's fatherhood? He didn't argue. He just handed me the folder. Inside were bank statements. The past 6 months of payments. Not a single one from him. All of them, every payment, had stopped the second I did. I messed up, he muttered. I thought if we could get it into Dean's name, maybe he'd grow up. By stealing from me? I was desperate. I finally spoke. You made your choice on Thanksgiving, Dad. You told me I wasn't needed. He nodded slowly. I was wrong. Amanda stepped forward. So what now? My dad looked at me. Eyes tired. Defeated. Just, don't let us lose the house. Please. I closed the folder and handed it back. No, I said. You already did. After my father left that night, I didn't sleep. Amanda sat with me in the dark living room, both of us quiet, staring at the documents he brought over. They weren't confessions. They were proof. Proof that he'd used me like a crutch while pretending to be the patriarch. That he tried to play kingmaker by giving Dean a throne built on my back. Amanda finally spoke. What are you going to do? I exhaled. I'm going to end it. By Monday morning, my lawyer had drafted everything. A cease and desist. A demand for repayment. And just in case, a preemptive injunction to freeze any property sale or transfer for the next 90 days, based on my equitable interest in the mortgage. She had it served by Wednesday. They were caught completely off guard. I got an email from my dad titled, Really? Inside, 3 sentences. You didn't need to make it this ugly. We're family. We could have figured something out. I didn't reply, because what they didn't know is that I'd already figured it out. The plan was simple. 1. Let the foreclosure process move forward. 2. 3. When the house went up for auction, I'd use a shell LLC I created with my lawyer to buy it back. 4. 5. At half the value. 6. You see, my parents were underwater on the loan by then. They defaulted twice since I stopped paying. Their credit was shot. The bank wasn't looking to protect their pride, just recoup the money. So when the house was officially seized and listed, I was ready. Final sale price, $172,000. I won the auction. Cash. It was mine, officially, legally, and without anyone's permission but the state's. And then, I put the house back on the market. Dean found out before the listing even hit Zillow, because he saw the for sale sign go up when he drove past the house with Haley. The next night, I got the message. No words. Just a photo of their family, standing on the porch, middle fingers raised. Amanda looked at it, then turned to me. You know what this means, right? Yeah. They're not going to go quietly. They didn't. They squatted. Refused to leave. Claimed tenancy based on verbal agreements my parents allegedly made with them before the foreclosure. My lawyer smiled when I showed her the screenshots. Perfect, she said. That's textbook trespassing. We filed for a sheriff's eviction order. It took less than a week. And on the following Monday morning, while I sat in my car across the street sipping coffee, I watched as county deputies pulled Dean, Haley, and their 3 screaming kids off the front lawn with garbage bags full of their things. My dad didn't show up. My mom stood by, clutching a plastic bin like a lifeline. She caught sight of me. Our eyes met. I expected her to scream, but she didn't. She just looked tired, like she finally saw it all, what they'd done, what it cost, what they'd lost. 2 weeks later, I sold the house to a couple in their 50s, recently retired and looking for a fixer-upper. They paid in full. I never told them the history. I didn't need to. That chapter was over. With the money from the sale, Amanda and I paid off our home, bought a second property for rental income, and finally booked the trip to Cabo we'd canceled 3 years ago. On the flight, Amanda reached for my hand. Do you think they'll ever talk to you again? I thought for a long time. Maybe, I said. But if they do, it'll be as guests, not family. Final update 6 months later. Haven't heard from Dean. His number's blocked. I know through the grapevine that he's renting a 2-bedroom apartment an hour away. Haley's posting cryptic quotes on Facebook about betrayal and people changing. My parents moved in with my aunt, who lives in a condo by the lake. I haven't spoken to them since the eviction. Last I heard, my dad's still blaming me. But my mom? She mailed me a letter. Handwritten. No return address. Inside was one sentence. You were never the problem, Lucas. I just didn't want to see the truth. That letter is tucked into the same binder Amanda and I made. The one that started as my defense. Now, it's my closure.